Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ninth Hour podcast. I am Michael, and I am joined today by Jessi, who just took the top 8 at the BWC in Atlanta for the 2016 season. She was piloting KanColle, and so, Jessi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jessi, we have your deck list, which we're going to be posting in the description and also below in the article for the website. It's pretty standard, would you say? It's green, yellow, concole. There's some options that we see here at level 1. The level 0 is pretty typical, and the end game pretty much mimics what Clinton used to win Worlds with. So just going down the deck itself, especially level 1, what made you decide to use these, 6 or more one-ofs?
Yes, my list of one-ofs, basically. Let's see. Basically, I have one of I8, the Searcher. I kind of wish I had run two, but just adding more consistency for a late game and also a discard outlet should not be able to find Akatsuki. One of the free backup, the I-168, um, to help in the mirror match mostly, at least deny them one Shimakaze search if I saw it at all.
Right.
Or any other on reverse effects, maybe late game, denying a clock kick or something equally as gross. Yahagi, basically just for keeping something on the field and to intentionally clock myself up if I needed to level. And I really like her power boost. She helps a lot in wall matchups, especially things like Madoka where you're looking at a Sayaka wall of 7500s and you're just like, oh my god, what do I do? And Yuubari is kind of, well, one, she's my favorite. I love her so much. But also, I threw her in at the last moment, really because I saw so much meta Madoka floating around the day before that I thought that she would help a lot punishing the Bonder effect during the main phase, because she has anti-salvage during the main phase as well. And at least I could help maintain some kind of board mid-game. And I think that's all the one-ofs at level 1 that I
The
got.
I58 Kite.
Oh, yes. That's the 2-1, right?
I think so, but we're just gonna skip over level 1 now that we're done with that, but and go into level 2. So we have the entire level 2 lineup that's one of. Now we know that Zuiho and Zuikaku, those are pretty standard. But what made you play the I58 Kai and the Confident Maya? We haven't seen Maya for quite some time here, so why one of those?
Again, I was trying to make a meta call at that point. We have a blue Titan player in my local meta that just, I have this mental block against that deck for some reason. So I really like to make sure I have a level 2 option available to me in the blue Titan matchup. Since they'll probably if they're good, they'll be side attacking through level 2. So, or through my level 2 and their level 2 at least. So if I have level 2s on board, they're side attacking for 0 or 1 at most before trigger. So that kind of helps mitigate the just onslaught of damage if they're comboing.
Now, just for everybody knows, just one player in particular shouldn't really affect a decision. So it sounds like to me that you just had a bone to pick with the Titan players of the world to say, all right, I know that there's got to be more than one of you out there, so I'm going to play this card just to make sure that we keep things in my favor.
Yeah, well, that, and I felt that since Titan deck man should take second in the World Championships last, I would really honestly expected to see a lot more of it, considering it's an inexpensive deck to buy and rather straightforward to pilot. So, well, generally speaking.
Sure.
but I ended up not seeing hardly any of it, so it was useless anyway.
Oh, interesting. So with this build, then, would you recommend it, I guess, in a vacuum for people, or would you say that there are definitely other changes that you can make based on a projected meta?
Oh, absolutely. I would go back and change the deck a lot. I think that definitely Maya could get cut because I think that I58 Kite really does her work, especially since she gets hand on core.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I would probably run maybe another Yahagi or possibly the changer for I58 Kai, who gets a plus a soul for side attacking.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would definitely actually go back and run that card instead. And I really didn't use my Brainstormer all that much.
Oh, the tokitsukaze?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was running her at one of, just kind of as a just in case, since I tend to trigger climaxes really early in my games.
Sure.
And just something to on-demand payout stock. And I didn't really have that problem. Maybe that was luck on my part. But she was kind of a dead card most of the time during the tournament.
Well, that's how you know that you're probably in a winning situation, right? If you don't even need it, right?
Yeah.
In that case, if you wanted to run more Yahagi, would you cut Yuubari or Verniy, for example? Like, would you consider going down to 3 copies? Or no copies of our everybody's favorite melons?
I think that it would really depend on the meta call. I did see Monica during the day, and Yuubari really did help me out.
Mm-hmm.
She's also nice because when you're done using her, you can toss her up and use her as a beater attacker. I probably would keep 4 Verniy because with my luck, if I use 3, she's just not going to show up in the graveyard or the waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
Probably I would cut... Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot about what you were talking about. So I got distracted.
It's all right. So I just wanted to bring that up because some people have been in the camp of, well, we can go down to 3 Verniy, or we should absolutely keep it at 4 because we always want to change into it as early as possible and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think by now we can assume that everyone at least listening to this one knows more or less what KanColle, especially at least the English version of the deck, does in the yellow-green combination. So now let's get into the tournament. Now, we have in our notes here a little rundown of what happened during each round. So let's see. We know there were 8 rounds of Swiss before the cut to top 8. So let's start with round 1 against SAO. Take us through that game. What happened?
Let's see. As best I can remember, I believe it was green, blue, and yellow. I managed to get 2 Verniys in my opening hand, and I dropped them into the waiting room. And then I opened 2 Hibikis.
Oh, wow.
And so it was lovely. I was so excited. I played one, and he attacked into it, and so I went ahead and brought out Verniy. And then next turn at level 0, I put out my other Hibiki, and I think Inaduma, and he attacked into both of them, and I got another Verniy, and I found a Shimakaze.
Oh, okay.
So I just had it was a really nice early game for me, and it just was too impressive for him to catch up, I think.
Yeah. Well, based on that line, he must have not had too much of a choice there, just having to run into everything, but we won't focus too much on that. So it sounds like it was a pretty smooth sailing. Now, what happened in round 2? Because I'm noticing that this is where you actually ran into your first loss of the day. You're playing against Monogatari, which was yellow, green, and red. So what happened with this game?
Let's see. I actually couldn't remember for most of the day what my loss was, which was kind of an odd experience. I think I blocked it out.
Well, you were too busy winning the rest of the day, right?
Of course, that's what happened. It's probably a good thing. From what I remember, he had a rough start with Climax situation. I think he was a little bit flooded, but he managed to get out the Hatsukaze brainstorm, and he brainstormed himself out of that situation pretty easily, or pretty well, rather. He was also a player from North Carolina, I think, so it was good to see him. And I don't think I managed to find my Shimakaze Climax, but I believe I had Shimakaze's in my hand, so I just wasn't searching. And so I was pretty short on hand size and stock for the later game.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was scary. And then I remember just kicking myself afterward because he had a pretty small amount of cards left in his deck, and I knew there were 3 climaxes in there, and I had the choice of playing Musashi and Akagi, and I think I thought I had more stock than I did, so I thought I could play Akagi and look for more options, and I didn't. I didn't have enough stock to play my Musashi, and so I managed to clock kick one of his characters on the field, and then he canceled the rest of the damage.
Rats. I see. Okay, so round 3, you played against the typical Attack on Titan core build, red, green, and yellow. Was this the core without the Levi Squad? Or did
Yes.
Okay, so it's the core build without Levi Squad, and what happened during this game?
This was a crazy game. This was the only match I actually went to time on, and she mulliganed 2 climaxes and then played a runner, Mikasa. Turn 1, she managed to run, everything was fine. And then turn 2, she had 2 runners out, and she milled 2 more climaxes.
Holy moly. Talk about...
I felt so bad for her.
That's pretty rough. The chances of that happening are pretty low. I mean,
yeah.
I see.
And she was a little bit had problems with her color and her level and clock zone level 2. I think she wanted to early play 2-1 Levi. Or sorry, not level 2, level 1. She was messed up on color.
I see.
And she did manage to change into the 2-2 Beyond the Walls Mikasa.
Right.
But I went ahead, I front attacked one of them, I just wanted to get it out of the way. And then I side attacked the other and just didn't allow her to do it because she had it in her hand.
I see.
Yeah, and then I just ended up managing to ram in a whole bunch of damage late game. And in the late game, in the last turn, she actually milled from her runner again, milled another climax.
Ooh. Yikes.
I felt so awful for her.
Wow. That I mean, it's typically going to be a really fine play to use the running effect for that, but I guess sometimes, when the game really wants you to lose, your runner will mill through 3 climaxes in one game.
It really did, but she ended up to be really cool. We made friends afterwards. That was awesome.
All right, friendship, yes.
Yay!
Okay, so we have glasses. I'm just doing the glasses thing because we have Log Horizon in round 4. So what happened with this game?
Let's see. I think the best way to describe it was Log Horizon was just being Log Horizon. And that the level 0 game was fine. He did let me have a Verniy, which did help out. His level 1 game was basically a wall of the 1-0 Clock Encore Shiroes.
Oh, okay.
And that's just not big enough of a wall against KanColle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did accidentally salvage on a gate trigger with Hatsukaze on board.
Oh, okay.
So that helped me out quite a bit as well.
Yeah, that's basically a free turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then he went into late game with stock problems, as that deck is a little bit notorious for. So.
Yeah, if it doesn't keep the momentum in level 1, I mean the Waltz Shiroe is not the greatest at trying to generate stock. I know at least in my builds of Log Horizon, I stick to the TD Akatsuki to try to get bigger. But of course, with the power pack coming to the Japanese part of the game, who knows what the set will look like? But at least in English right now, it's looking,
Yeah, definitely.
it certainly has its issues. So, round 5. Round 5, we have Attack on Titan again, but it's your most hated matchup, the grudge match.
It is. I don't know why it gets into my head so badly, but after this, I actually felt a little better about it.
I mean, we've already, so for everybody that's listening, we already started to write the guide for how to play against Titans with any given deck. We determined that step 1 is to change your pants, and step 2 is to not panic. You have to do that in order, otherwise you're going to be, well, you're kind of out of luck there. So what happened with this one? Because I see in our notes here, Zuiho just said hello on your first attack, went right to stock, and stayed there.
Yeah, she did. One thing that I do have an issue with in KanColle is that there are very few ways to pay out your stock on your turn immediately, at level 0 anyway, unless you want to play over an Inaduma or something.
Mm-hmm.
So she went in, and I cried, and that happened. So I just prepared to weather the storm. He was playing a build with not only the... I don't think he was playing any Predation Titans, which are the 0/0s that get power from more of them on the center stage.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he was concentrating on the 1/0 Titans that get power from others on the center stage.
So unlimited level 1, not level 0.
Yes, and
Okay.
maybe he was playing some of the level 0s, but I don't recall seeing a lot of them.
Okay.
So he really didn't have any attackers for the first couple of turns. He had a few, but he ended up actually having to pass once, which was good for me, bad for him.
I don't know. My experience playing against that deck says if they pass, you're like, uh-oh. I guess I'm just gonna get overrun the next turn. It feels so scary. It's like, uh-oh. They're just plotting, they're just waiting.
Exactly. I was a little bit afraid. Like, what are you doing? And it turned out that he ended up going into level 2. Turn 1 at level 2, he only had 3 stock.
Whoa.
So he couldn't get the combo out because it requires 4 stock. So
Right.
I was ready. I was excited about that. So that allowed me to kind of like keep some characters on board and get in some damage. His climaxes were also just going all over the place. He finally turned to level 2. He got his combo out, and he had the climax and everything happened. It was a whole thing. And I was sitting at mid-level 1, and I felt pretty good about life until he hit me for 10 straight damage.
Whoa. So Ultra Meter just got to full, and then kaboom.
Yeah, and of course all my climaxes were on the bottom, and so I just Akatsuki'd them back into the deck.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Or
That's
back
good.
into the waiting room so I could refresh. But
Right.
and it was a sad day, but I ended up, he had another turn at level 3, I think, and he wasn't able to combo. So fortunately, I was able to use Zuiho and Akagi-kai to clock kick the head and ram in for some damage. And I managed to get a Musashi burn that helped finish the game. So
Oh, there we go.
nice.
Yeah. Musashi is always nice to close out a game with. So, round 6, your meta call finally pays off because you play against green, blue, red Madoka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he, let's see, level 0 was pretty standard. He opened with Madoka of the New World,
Yep.
the beater. And I think that I was doing pretty okay. He didn't let me have any Verniys. It was so sad.
Well, by this time you're sitting at X1 at the really top tables. People probably know, by then that you really should not let KanColle have an early Verniy. At least.
You would think you would.
Oh, we would
really
hope. We hope. We hope.
Yes. And I think he was having a little bit of trouble getting his Sayakas into the waiting room. He did brainstorm quite a bit and managed to do it. However, by that time, I was able to get Yuubari. I had her in my opening hand, and I was just so happy. I was like, yes, I didn't even have to look for you. You came to me.
Oh, nice.
That's the waifu power right there.
Aha, I see. So the bond was max, so she just came to your hand in the hour of need.
Yes, she did.
I see. So moving on, we have round 7, Love Live. Now this one you knocked set 1, so this was like all the old cards?
It was. I don't think I saw anything out of set 1, or beyond set 1 if I remember correctly.
Whoa. So that's going way back to like the level 0 to level 1 Ellie change, and the Umi Brainstormers, and I'm trying to think what else. I mean, of course you get Nico at level 3. You might have the Umi CX combo at level 3 as well.
I think he was running the yellow one with the bounce trigger. And instead, the healer with the group, it's like if you play the bounce trigger Climax, everything gets plus 5k.
Yes.
And he was running the 2-1 Umi that gets power for every tapped character. And he was
the regular Umi.
Yeah. And also the double rare 2-1 Nozomi that gives plus a soul on character reverse.
Yep.
And he did the Ellie change and had some characters out at level 0, but I was able to use Inaduma to clock myself up to level 1 quite early. And I just Shimakaze all of his little people out, and that was sad times for him.
So,
and from there, he just had a hard time keeping a board.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, once the deck, especially that one, if it's only using the older cards, if it loses its momentum, especially early on, and is down like 3 cards or so, it can be really hard to come back from that. It struggles at least to keep the power, especially also if it misses its brainstorms. But so round 8, the win and in moment is against Attack on Titan, but with the Levi Squad core build. So green, red, yellow, and what happened with this one? Because this one did sound like quite the intense game.
It did. It was probably the toughest match the whole day. It was actually the guy who won the last regional. I played against him, and he's a really nice person. That was awesome. It was cool to meet him. He got the Levi Squad out, no problem, and I felt so clever. I held on to Zuiho, ready to anti-change him, and then he managed to intentionally level himself up to level 2.
The next level play. Oh, man.
Alright, that was a dead card. I also had a bit of a hard time keeping characters on board, and not so much due to the Levi Squad, but just I was seeing climaxes, I was seeing compasses where I didn't need to see them, and all those sorts of things. One nice thing about the Levi Squad is that I can use Shimakaze on the sides because they don't get enormous.
Right. Only 6k or 65. Either way, pretty reversible.
Yeah, it was doable. And I was able to set up for late game at least. And it was pretty intense. I relied heavily on Yahagi at one point in order to just kill something on his field and do some damage without losing a character. I ended up having to play my 1-0 counter in the back row and tap that for Yahagi.
Whoa!
I was so desperate.
Pulling out all the stops.
It was so bad. And I58 Kite again did some work, the 2-soul beater at level 2. And there's one point, it was pretty interesting. He had 1 card left in his deck late game, and I was attacking. I had a dead Musashi, an alive Musashi, and some random card. I think it was the I58 Kite. And I had to decide whether I was going to attack with the dead Musashi or the alive Musashi. If that was a climax or not, because there were 7 in the waiting room, and I knew there were none in stock, so it was a question of was that in his hand or not. And so I just took a guess. And I ended up guessing right that it was a climax, and I ended up being able to use the live Musashi's burn, which was pretty fun.
Oh, nice. All right, so your first round in the top 8, unfortunately, was as far as he went. And he had to play against another Kantai deck, right? Red, blue, and yellow?
Yes. I believe it was more or less the deck that won the Japanese World Grand Prix,
Mm-hmm.
with Haruna centered at the late game, and with Akashi? Yeah,
I think so.
Akashi in the back, the 1-0 that gives, it's a searcher and it gives...
yeah, the Global 500. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I believe he was also playing Hatsukaze. Wait, yeah, he was also playing Hatsukaze. It might have been 4-color, now that I think of it. He might have been playing Hibiki and Verniy too, but I don't think so. Because he obviously doesn't have to contend with the Japanese ban list, so he can make some changes.
Yeah.
But really, it didn't matter too much. Let's see. I opened really poorly. I had basically Hatsukazes and a Brainstormer for level 0. That was all I saw. And then I had one Shimakaze and one Shimakaze Climax, and he told me after the game was over that he opened 3 Tages.
Whoa.
He's like, yeah, that was going to be a bad time for you. I was like, yeah, it was a bad time for me. You're right.
Sounds like it. Yeah, that's pretty hard to beat. Just let's just get 3 of these and have them never die. All right.
Yeah. But if I was going to have a game like that, I'm a lot happier that it happened at that table than any earlier on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because then, I mean, you made top 8, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now that we have kind of gone through the whole of the event, did you have anything, I guess, really funny or memorable happen during the event? I mean, outside of the game, is there anything that you'd like to just share with everybody as far as something cool or something hilarious and so on?
Well, I got called up to the front, and apparently I forgot to write my badge number on my deck list.
Oh no. And
so I got a warning, and it's a very typical me thing to do, is to screw something very minor up at the last moment. And Kazuma actually wrote on the little post-it on my deck list for deck check, he wrote that I was in trouble.
Oh boy. Guess you're never forgetting that again, right?
Nope, never. Because I wrote it out beforehand, and I was so concentrated on getting ready for the tournament, I just passed it up and was like, oh wait, I have to actually write my badge number.
So now that we've again gone through just the use of the deck and how it went throughout the day, would you use this for another event? I don't know if you intend on competing in another BWC qualifier. Not, but would you find yourself? Would you say that you would find yourself using this deck again?
I think that I would use a variant of it. Basically, the changes that I mentioned earlier. I think that unrestricted KanColle is too oppressive not to play in English meta. Unless something crazy comes out in English that hasn't been announced yet, I would probably continue playing it because it helps you in kind of the random matchups that aren't, Attack on Titan or the mirror match KanColle or Madoka, the sort of the higher power, quote unquote, meta builds,
So, question: did you see any Haruhi during the event? I'm just curious now. Did you see anybody playing Haruhi or Fate or Fairy Tail? Because
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, actually, one of the guys at the top table in round 8 was playing. It was the top match was Fairy Tail and Kill a Kill, which I totally didn't see that happening at table 1.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
because we know what happened with Kill a Kill. I believe Kill a Kill was the winner of that match.
Yeah, it was. It did its work. I sat next to a max rarity Haruhi deck. That was fun to look at.
Super shiny.
Yeah, it was really shiny, and he was doing okay. What else? Oh, I did see a Fate deck at one point later in the rounds, but I think he ended up losing that game.
Ah, I see. All right. So, let's see. Now we're getting just about to the end of things. once again, Jessi, thanks you so much for joining us for this interview and this analysis and this, I guess, fond recollection of all the many victories that your deck scored.
Yeah.
Did you have any shout-outs? Did you like to say anything else that you would say before we wrap up here?
Yeah, absolutely. On one hand, I'd really like to thank my local store for being really supportive of me and helping me get my practice in. And Game Theory North Carolina, they're really awesome and have basically let me foster the community here as I like. And also to my friend Andrew Lee, he ended up getting what's that? He went X2 earlier than I did, but he stuck around to really like help me stay in my head and keep me calm the whole day. So I really want to thank him.
All right. Well, Jessi, once again, thanks again, everyone. Please be sure to check out our sponsor of 9th CX, Card Academy, for all of your card and supply needs. This is Michael. This has been the 9th Hour Podcast, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening.